Horror is a great genre to watch if you're watching the right movie. No, really. You don't want to put on a movie about a horror doll just to end up with 2 wasted hours of jump scares and a shoddy backstory. So to make your pick easier, we've compiled a list of horror movies every beginner of the genre should watch. Mind you, these are not for the weak-hearted. Let's start with the basics. Friday the 13th. It's always fun to listen to summer camp horror stories. That is, until you watch a slasher flick based on the very same. But wait, Friday the 13th is a lot more than just any summer camp gone wrong film. It's one of the foundations of the horror genre. Well, at least its first movie is. And if you're really committed to getting into this scary world, this movie should be on the top of your list. Moving on, we have The Ring. There's a whole generation of people today whose teenage years were spent being haunted by the Ring girl. No guys, really. We remember switching off the TV and imagining the long-haired demon girl crawling out of it. Not the happiest memory, but if you're into horror, it does validate the movie. The Japanese version of this film is actually a lot scarier than the English one. So be careful while picking which one to watch because the former can be really scary. And while we're on the topic, you should also give The Grudge a try. A remake of a Japanese film of the same name, it has a Sam Raimi touch to it which makes it dark, creepy, and nightmare-inducing all at the same time. Third on the list is The Blair Witch Project. This movie swore us off camping for good. It's based on real-life video clips of teenagers trying to look for the Blair Witch in the woods of Maryland. The horror starts creeping in when they start hearing weird noises in the woods, find stick figures hanging in front of their campsite, and realize they're walking in circles no matter where they go. The Blair Witch Project virtually created the found footage genre in horror, and it was quite the rage in the 2000s. This brings us to our next film, Paranormal Activity. This one has a lot less happening than Blair Witch, but that doesn't mean it's not scary. Paranormal Activity features footage from Micah and Katie Holmes who, after moving into an apartment, realize it may be haunted. To gather proof, Micah sets up a camera in the room, and soon enough, things start showing up that have no business in the living world. It's not your average jump scare gore flick, but the slow burn of this film is where the horror's at. Now, let's talk about Babadook. Have you seen the Babadook? We sure hope you haven't because man, was that guy scary. Featuring a story of a young widow raising her son, the movie's another slow burn that makes you scared of pop-up books. A movie's got merit if it can do that. There's also the subtext of grief and loss that brings even more despair to this film's experience. So, a traumatic story with a scary monster and a mother trying to fight it back? Great film to watch for every newbie. Up next, we've got Psycho. Probably one of Hitchcock's best films, Psycho features a story of a woman who goes on the run after stealing money and leaves her boyfriend and sister to solve her mysterious disappearance. If you're a fan of insane plot twists, this movie should be on your list for sure. Then, the ultimate horror, The Exorcist. There's nothing quite as scary as watching Linda Blair flash her empty demonic eyes or watch her crawl upside down on a staircase. That's classic horror material that no one, and we repeat, no one can top. This is why The Exorcist is one of our favorites on this list. With some shocking scenes that'll make you want to keep your lights on at night, this one should not be missed by anyone going into the horror genre. Let's also add Us to the list. Jordan Peele has honestly outdone himself with this one. Based on a family who's attacked by their doppelgangers, Us is a mystery psychological horror full of symbolism, social messages, and acting so good that it'll make you rewatch the movie more than a few times to understand. But be careful, this level of chaos will definitely have you looking out the window even after you're done with the film. After this, there's the ever-horrible Insidious. Now, we know jump scares are super cliched at this point, but if there's one that you should definitely experience, it's the one featuring the man with the face of fire in this movie. Honestly, Insidious is that finger biter of a movie that'll keep you on edge until the final straw hits, and that's when the chaos begins. The movie's a modern take on classic horror tropes. We love how they present the creep factor in it. Plus, the demon's super scary, and in a horror movie, that's all that matters. Then we have the crazy world of Get Out. Race, manipulation, cultism. The movie has got it all, with an ever-underlying feeling of helplessness and dread gripping you every passing moment. It's an award-winning classic that'll be equally popular as some of the older horror movies, and we can't wait to tell our kids that's the one we went to watch in the cinemas. Chris's predicament in Get Out translates very well to the social differences we've seen in our world, and the total chaos that spreads after he realizes his girlfriend's true motives is where the true horror actually begins. Next, we have slasher gore with Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy Krueger, with his messed up past, will bring you jump scares, gore, and some follow-up nightmares that you'd wish won't ever take place on Elm Street. Again, a classic tale of horror. It's a story of teenagers being haunted by the razor-clawed Krueger who can only appear in their nightmares. But if you die there, you die for real too. It's a trip, and a good one, to the time when horror movies actually meant horror instead of the jump scare-based flicks we see nowadays. After that, we've got the amazing The Quiet Place. John Krasinski's magnum opus wasn't regarded as one of the best horror films of the year for nothing. It's got everything: a dystopian countryside, great actors, a solid story, and a feeling of doom that never goes away. And the cherry on top is the absolute quiet that enhances the entire feel of the movie. You could hear a pin drop when watching the movie, only this time, you'll wish you didn't. Confused? You'll have to watch the movie to understand that reference. There's also the ever-popular It. It is the story of a town summer meeting a classic Stephen King monster. And because it's based on the works of the horror maestro, how can it be anything but amazing? We'll be honest, we loved the newer version of the film more than the previous one. Sure, that one had all the tellings of an old-school horror flick, but this one with Bill Skarsgård's clown just makes our skin crawl. Add the stellar cast to our list and you have a movie series that you'll love. On that note, if you find yourself looking for more 70s small-town horror films, you've got to watch the Fear Street movies on Netflix. Based on the craziest stories from R.L. Stine, you'll feel like you've been transported back to high school by reading his Goosebumps series all over again. Second to last, we have the cult classic, The Shining. Here's Johnny. That line never gets old. And that's the beauty of The Shining. It just doesn't let you get bored of the crazy twisted tale of the father who tried murdering his family. From an eerie empty hotel to a mysterious pair of twins, a bloodbath, and an icy wonderland to top all that off, the movie's a testament to great writing, acting, and cinematography. It's not a cultural phenomenon for no reason, guys. Oh, and once you're done with this one, head over to watch Dr. Sleep, which is a late sequel to the movie. With a 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, it's not a bad watch either. Last, the super creepy Conjuring. Based on the true stories of Ed and Lorraine Warren, it's a franchise worth visiting. With its dark, dreadful theme and an exorcism to match, the movie's an old-school horror flick that's probably one of the best from the last decade. Add Annabelle's story to the mix and you have one creepy movie that you won't forget for a long, long time. Its sequels are also nice, but don't match the caliber of the first movie somehow. But they're worth the watch as well. But what's actually cool is the various docu-videos showing all the real-life versions of the haunted artifacts that you see in the movie. And if you really want to amp up the horror, do visit the actual exorcism tapes from the Lorraine's encounter that the movie features. You won't forget that sound for days, we can tell you that. That's a wrap for this video. Which of these horror films will you pick up first? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.